faith, spiritual values, moral issues, government, economy, education, work, responsibility. What we think about these depends on our worldview. Now, VCY America presents Worldview Radio with Brannon House.
All right, welcome. Glad you're with us. Wow, the news can change in 30 seconds. The news cycle can change in 30 seconds. And this is going crazy on social media. My team in the control room said, you got to look at this. People are very, very upset with the Trump administration right now over the fact that they're buying beef. They're going to start buying beef from Argentina. Now, yesterday, and I don't know if it's up last night from last night's broadcast, Worldview 2, but last night I played a lot of clips on what's happening to the American farmer. And, you know, we're in a, look, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Farmers, we're about to open the phone lines up here in a few minutes after we deal with Patrick. And Patrick can stay if he wants. But I want to hear from the farmer in North Dakota, South Dakota, Arkansas, Iowa. I want to hear what you are going through. What is going on? I don't want to get it from the media. I want to get it from you. You know, there are two audiences here we have that we know for sure. Over-the-road professional drivers and farmers. Those are two groups of people that I know, among others. But those are two groups of people that I know are in this audience. Over-the-road professional drivers and farmers. And so if you want to hear from the American farmer today, will you help me make sure that as many as possible are tuned in? Tweet, text, email, Facebook, Getter, True Social, whatever it is you do. Tell them to tune in to this VCY America station right now, if they're not already. If they're not blessed enough to have a terrestrial station of VCY and WROS down in Jacksonville, Florida, then they can go to Worldview 2 and you can point them there and they can start live streaming and listening. But I need them to call in. I want the farmers, and it could be the farmer, the farmer's wife, the farmer's child, the farmer's nephew. If you're in the farming family, maybe you're like, well, I can't get a hold of, dad right now. He's on the combine or whatever. But I can speak to this, Brandon. Then you call in. Because right now, I'm very concerned about the American farmer. You know, we have pushed the red button when we were concerned about our professional over-the-road drivers that were losing their job and their pay is crashing due to all the illegals that were in here driving, right? Not to mention many of them being Islamists. Now it turns out a lot of them are apparently from the CCP. We did a story on that last week. I find it odd that the red-green axis wants to drive our big trucks. Not only is that, to me, a major national security threat, because those things are like missiles going down the interstate, and we see what they're doing for the people who can't read the road signs. They're killing Americans. But then you add in our food supply. If these people get a hold of our trucking and then can just park the trucks and stop flowing the goods, we're all in big trouble. Because the average grocery store contains about 3 days worth of food. And that's based on us all not showing up on the same day, which when we do, we see what happens and have now on a couple occasions. The shelves go bare on essentials. Well, we talked about those over-the-road drivers, and we, by bringing on American Truckers, took that story as the first national outlet. They told us, yep, you're the first national outlet to pick it up, and we did. And then Fox News got our leftovers, which that's exactly what they deserve, our leftovers. I wish they'd pick up more of our leftovers, but Fox can only go so far on the truth, right? So we need now to do something for our farmers. We've done our best to help our professional over-the-road drivers. Now I'm concerned about our farmers. Last night, I played clips. Farmers, their soybeans are not being picked up by China. They're putting them in their silos and having to sit and wait. And some of them in Arkansas, Iowa, I played the clips from the farmers themselves are saying, I'm going to lose my farm. This would have been the seventh generation to farm. My son, I don't think he's going to make it. I think I'm going to lose the farm. Even Republican U.S. Senator Charles Grassley is saying something has to change. We can't be doing tariffs on items that are not available to be purchased in the U.S. Like some of the parts that go on the John Deere tractors, they come from China. Okay? And we're putting tariffs on those things. And then the cost of them is so high that it's a very, very big tax on the already struggling business owner, farmer. A few years ago, when we were telling this audience that the globalists want to use food to control us. Do you guys remember me doing several programs on that? Back in 2020, I brought out the Rockefeller PDF called Reset the Table by the Rockefellers. Reset the Table. Remember that? And I warned you guys in 2020, over 5 years ago, they're going to create a food crisis and use food to control us. This is how you control people. Economics, food. And who would have ever thought when we're talking about a food crisis, you're thinking, you go to the restaurant, they give you 2 times at least more food than you can eat if you're eating healthy portions. How often do you go to a restaurant, you take home a doggy bag? Oh, every time. Every time I go out, I take home a doggy bag because they give me too much. I'm not eating all that. Always. Not uncommon at all. Go out, and that's sometimes with Melissa and I splitting a steak. We're splitting a steak. By the time we have our salad, get to the steak, have some green beans, get to the steak. It's like, I'm full. And we don't do bread. We're gluten-free because I don't want that puffy, fat face on television. I don't want a puffy, fat face off television. But I don't do the gluten thing for inflammation reasons, and I want to stay healthy. So I'm not filling up with a bunch of bread. I'm just doing salad, some green beans, and then we get to the steak. Melissa and I are splitting it. We still end up bringing it home. But so you're thinking, how could you have a food crisis? There's so much food in America. Well, when these guys stop running their farms, who's going to buy them? We had to, as you know, travel to northern Illinois last week. And I just kept pointing out the window. Look at all those solar panels. Acre after acre after acre after acre of solar panels. And wind turbines, thank you. And the wind turbines. All of this rich, great soil coming down from Illinois into the Delta. But there's a lot of great soil there because I guess the glaciers came pushing through and pushed a lot of dirt down that really made it, very rich. What you can get yield per acre is amazing. And I'm thinking, this is supposed to be for food. And I'm like, can you imagine the tax benefits these people must be getting to put this garbage up? The tax benefits must be overwhelming. I don't know. I need to research into this more, folks. Because I'm thinking, why would you not want to rent that out to a farmer if you own the land? Or if you are the farmer, you're a big family corporate farm, why are you not planting? Why are you putting solar panels up and windmills? Because that's a lot of money there in that field with those solar panels and hail. What are they doing? It hails. That stuff makes it through the hail. And I'm looking at all this last week as we're driving. I'm thinking, what is happening to some of the richest farmland in the world? Certainly in America. Then you add that to the farmers that are going to go out of business if this tariff problem isn't fixed real quick. What are they going to do when they buy this land up? Bill Gates and others going to buy it? What are they going to do? Raise cattle? I don't think so. They want fake meat. They want fake meat. They're going to put more windmills and solar panels on that or just sit on it and corner the market and force everybody to eat their manufactured fake food? I don't know. But I do know this. If you believe in climate change, one of the biggest hoaxes around, and you think that cattle passing gas is contributing to it, and you don't want people farming, well, it seems like to me we're headed down the road to ending farming. And who's going to buy these? I don't know. There's something out there called Acre Tracker. I got to go look into that. Acre Tracker. I hear there are people that are, I guess, poised to pick up farms. Are they going to buy them off the steps of the courthouse? How's this going to work? Those that have banknotes on them. I don't know. This is a serious national security crisis. So what's going on today is President Trump is talking about selling, buying beef. I guess it's a $20 billion bailout for Argentina. Listen to what One Nation News is reporting off Air Force One not too long ago. Here we go. When was this, Logan? News Nation? I think it was today. All right, let's hear what he has to say. We'll go to Patrick after the break. Here we go.
Say to U.S. farmers who feel that the deal is benefiting Argentina more than it is them, as they are
Argentina's fighting for its life, young lady. You don't know anything about it. They're fighting for their life. Nothing's benefiting Argentina. They're fighting for their life. You understand what that means? They have no money. They have no anything. They're fighting so hard to survive. If I can help them survive in a free world, I happen to like the president of Argentina. I think he's trying to do the best he can. But don't make it sound like they're doing great. They are dying. All right?
Well, if they're dying, it's because their country adopted socialist policies for generations, and they're still trying to work it out. But $20 billion, supposedly, to bail them out down there with beef? We're dying. Yes, we're dying. We just detailed how farmers are about to go belly up. And many of those farmers that I played their clips last night said, I don't want a handout. Do I need it? Yes, but I don't want it. I want a farm. I want a farm and I want to sell my product. 20 billion. And then last night I talked about we're giving $40 million a week to the Taliban. You're probably thinking, no, he's got that wrong. He has that wrong. No, go look it up. $40 million a week to the Taliban. I cannot figure out, well, I can actually, but you would think by now the American people would have said, we're done with federal taxes. You guys rob us of half of our money, 40% of our money, depending on the tax bracket you're in. You enrich your NGOs, you enrich the elite, you give it to the poor nations of the world, which they don't deserve, social welfare programs, financing the debt. The middle class pays for all of this. Why are we still doing it? We'll be right back.
You woke up with a sore throat and a low-grade fever. You know you are getting sick, so here's your choices. You can get sicker and miss work, try to see a doctor this week, or sit hours in a crowded waiting room at urgent care.
I have a smarter option for you. Open your medical emergency kit. Match your symptoms to doctor-recommended prescription in your booklet and take the right meds now and get well faster.
This is not a first aid kit. It's like having an urgent care in your home. It includes doctor-prescribed medications to treat over 39 medical issues like respiratory infections, strep throat, pneumonia, UTIs, and more.
No waiting to see the doctor and no standing in line at the pharmacy. It's right here.
Every home should have at least one medical emergency kit, and here's how to order.
Go to worldviewhealthcare.com. Your kit to treat dozens of common and serious illnesses is rushed to your door. worldviewhealthcare.com. That's worldviewhealthcare.com.
The emergency kit available at worldviewhealthcare.com. Make sure you don't have to go to urgent care. I got pneumonia. I didn't have to go. I took this last year. Stayed at home. Went to bed. All right, welcome back. Glad you're with us. Worldview Radio, our website, worldviewradio.com. Let me show you a chart real quick. This is U.S. soybeans, and I'll tell radio audits about it. U.S. soybean sales to China. Okay? The chart goes from October of 2024, it's 8 million metric tons. October of 2024, and you can watch it as it goes through April, May, and June of 2025. And by the time we get to the end of June, it's barely a chart, barely a graph, barely a line, barely a column on the chart. And then when you get into July 1, forward, nothing. Nothing. Which is why these farmers are saying, if I can't sell my crop, how am I going to pay the bank for the loan? Or I bought the seed, bought the fertilizer, the diesel to run the tractors. One guy last night, I played his clip. He said, I got farming equipment that's 50 years old, 50 years old, and I'm barely making it. But we're going to maybe do a $20 billion bailout of Argentina beef. Now, here's a chart that Patrick just sent me. Then we're going to go to Patrick. U.S. farm bankruptcies, 2000 to 2025. And you look at what happens there, it really got low between 2020 into about 2024. It was really low. And then it just skyrockets in late 2024, starts to skyrocket into 2025. Yeah. Agenda 21, Agenda 2030. Joining me now is Patrick Wood. Patrick, what do you make of my opening monologue?
You got it. I'm a farmer at heart. You know, I was raised on a farm and a ranch in my early days, and I have a heart for these people. They've been railroaded. They've been subject to land grabs. Now it's hitting the fan in 2025. By the end of this year, bankruptcies are just out of sight. So sad.
Well, here is Trump's proposal to buy Argentina's beef portrays U.S. ranchers. October 20th, 25, Farm Action. Farm Action issued the response following President Trump's proposal that the U.S. purchase Argentina beef to bring down beef prices. This statement can be attributed to Christian Lovell, Farm Action's senior director of programs and an Illinois cattle producer. Quote, President Trump's plan to buy beef from Argentina is a betrayal of the American rancher. Those of us who raise cattle have finally started to see what profit looks like after facing years of high input costs and market manipulation by the meat packing monopoly. After crashing the soybean market and gifting Argentina, our largest export buyer, he's now poised to do the same to the cattle market. Importing Argentine beef would send U.S. cattle prices plummeting. And with the meat packing industry and consolidated as it is, consumers may not see lower beef prices either. Washington should be focused on fixing our broken cattle market, not rewarding foreign competitors. In quote. What do you make of this, Patrick? This is all over social media.
I know. I'm sorry that this is not making America great. This is the opposite, the absolute opposite. Ranchers are in duress all over the country. They're trying to rebuild the herds. It's tough because, well, it takes time to rebuild a herd. But,
and we also then talk about the poultry, right? And all the millions and millions they've killed off, right? They've culled due to potential bird flu and other things. They've gone after the poultry. They've gone after the crops. Now they're going after the cattle.
Poultry, that can rebound really fast because chickens
reproduce
quickly,
fast, yeah.
The eggs and so on. Cattle, not so much. The cattle industry was so overwhelmed in the last few years, and all of a sudden, beef prices are rebounding in America, and some of the ranchers who have been successful to increase the size of the herd, they're reaping some profits at this point that they haven't seen for like 50 years even. And I know one cattle rancher who personally, good friend, and he said, we're just kind of getting back to even all of a sudden. He's been, he ranches because he loves it and that's his family, et cetera, et cetera. But just when they're just getting out of the weeds, all of a sudden this comes at them, and this is a total betrayal of the beef industry, especially it's gonna knock these people into the last century.
And what I'm seeing is a lot of people, a lot of groups like Beef Initiative, President Trump, we support you, but we're seeing a lot of that. We love you and support you, but that's what we're seeing on social media by a lot of these groups. We love you and support you, but ... right? All right, let's keep our eye on this. We're going to open the phone lines in just a little bit. All right, 1-800-347-9829. Want to hear from the American farmer family, or maybe you're in a job very, very closely tied to agriculture and can speak to this. What I'm wanting is firsthand reports from the field. 1-800-347-9829. What's happening to you, American farmer? Cattle rancher, farmers, raising soybeans, raising corn. What is, maybe you're a business that repairs farm equipment, combines, etc. And you can say, I can tell you what's going on because I deal with the farmers every day and I know what's going on with the prices of the parts that come from China that I have to take out into the field to repair their tractor or combine. 1-800-347-9829. Let's start out with Wayne, line 1 in South Dakota. Hi, Wayne.
Hello. I'll try to make it as brief as I can, but yeah, I got a ton of things I can tell you. My family homesteaded here in South Dakota, and I'm fourth generation. And so I've seen, since I've been 13, farmed with my dad. And right now, it appears to me that ranchers are the ones doing the best. Farming, the prices are in the tank for corn, beans, selling hay even, which is what I do because I had to get out of the cattle business about 5 years ago. Broke my shoulder up right before calving season. I couldn't calve them out, so I sold them. And then the price has gone through the roof the last 4 years, which people can't believe the price. And they are exceptionally good. What I foresee, and I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think I am, there's a lot of really new, big, shiny machinery in the country because people, the cattle producers have been making unbelievable money. And the thing is, the bottom drops out of this cattle market. There's a lot of young farmers that have borrowed on this cattle market that has been sky high for the last 4 years. If the cattle market goes into the tank, there's going to be a lot of farmers, young farmers, holding debt for all this big new machinery and land that they purchased and everything. And to me, it looks like it's a setup. I mean, I think this is exactly what they want. Drugs are going to be pulled out from underneath these, especially the younger guys that are, trying to start up. And a lot of it, first of all, they're family farmers because you don't just get into farming. It's too expensive. And so, yeah, I think that there's some very hard times coming for farmers and ranchers and for America in general, because I think the globalists have got this all set up. They know what they're doing. They know where they're headed. And we're just kind of sheep being led.
Alan, Wayne, thank you for the update. Wayne from South Dakota checking in. Thank you, Wayne. Alan is calling in from Tennessee, line 2. Hello, Alan.
Hey, Brandon. About 3 weeks ago, I was down in Coldwater, Mississippi, not far from you.
Yeah.
And I sat down with some farmers. I said, hey, how's it going? They said, not good. I've been in farming for 50 years. I might be losing my farm. There's another farmer down there in Coldwater, Mississippi, dairy farmer. He's going to close his doors because he can't find anybody who wants to work. And, I don't know if you heard, there's a lot of suicides amongst farmers right now. It's really sad.
Yes, I played some of those clips last night, and one man buys tractors, a lot of John Deere tractors and combines. He's had some sitting on his lot from 3 or 4 farmers that had committed suicide. And he put out the video saying, call me. I will not try to sell you something. I'm not interested in trying to sell you anything. If you need someone to talk to, call me. I do not want to be acquiring any more of these tractors from farmers that have committed suicide. And he was saying, you can call me and I'll talk to you if you need help to talk.
I hear that. Also, we had to close our trucking business down because the rates got too cheap. So 22 trucks, 30 trailers off the road, and now they're calling us wanting to know where we're at. We're out of business. Sorry, guys. So
wow.
It's really sad. The truckers and the farmers. I talked to farmers up in around Beaver Dam, Wisconsin. They're struggling. Zungerberg, I believe, is building a big place up there in Beaver Dam, Wisconsin. They took out like 3 big farms, and they're building those places with Mark Zungerberg, I hear, has got that property. Beaver Dam, Wisconsin.
Alan, thank you for checking in. Alan from Tennessee. Joe, line 4. Joe is a 29-year-old farmer, 29 years old. Joe, thank you for calling in.
Hi, Brandon. I grew up on a dairy farm. I currently, my dad still owns it, and but we milk 70 cows, and the beef prices, we rely on a lot of that because our cows, when we ship them after they're too old to have any more calves, we sell them for beef. Our bull calves we sell for beef, and just a couple years ago you'd get $20 for a calf, and now you can get about $1,000 for a 100-pound calf. And this is just really a stab in the back because milk prices are at about $17.50 for 100 pounds of milk, somewhere around there. And we're relying just to pay bills on selling these little calves. And if the beef prices go down, we're really gonna be in trouble with stuff.
So you're telling me that you've been relying on selling beef to make up for the lack of profitability in the milk, and if you lose the dollars in the beef, then your whole operation's at risk.
Yeah, correct. And all I have to say to Trump is this is a stab in the back to the American farmers. I voted for him. I was, I think, 20 when I voted for him the first time. I voted for him every time, and honestly, it's like having Obama back in the White House. That's my only comment to that.
Wow.
Some of this stuff that he's doing is just, it's unbelievable. To some days he does really good things and you applaud him, and other days it's like, what's the difference between the previous guys? So,
well, Joe,
that's my comment. And
Joe,
honestly, what keeps me going for wanting to farm is I got 2 sons that love it, and they're 3 and 2 right now. So,
well, Joe, we're gonna ask our whole audience to pray for you, your family, for all of our farmers that are out there listening under our signals. Many of these farmers, folks, are Christians. They're patriotic. They're Christians. They're Bible believers.
Yeah.
They're our brothers and sisters in Christ, literally.
Yeah.
Pray for them.
And can I just say thank you for putting this show on today, because it feels like we have a voice out there. I read this article yesterday. My brother-in-law mentioned it about a month ago or a couple weeks ago, and I saw this coming out yesterday, and then here I have you on. I listen to you every day, and you're covering it. So thank you very much for doing that.
Absolutely, Joe. Thank you. It's our honor to try to be a voice for you guys and open the phone lines for you. And this won't be a one-off. This isn't something we're just going to do and then roll on with the news cycle. We're going to stay on this as long as it's not being addressed. And I am seeing emails or social media coming in from Senator Deb Fischer. I guess, is she the U.S. Senator from Nebraska, it sounds like? And she is, I strongly encourage the Trump administration to focus on trade deals that benefit our ag producers, not imports that will do more harm than good. This has really got Thomas Massey, many members of Congress are on social media right now. Maybe, again, this will be a positive to that. We're going to get a response from Patrick here in just 1 second, but let's go take another call real quick. This is a 4th-generation farmer. This is Frank from South Dakota. Hi, Frank.
Hi, thank you for doing this. This is a very important topic. The grain producers and the chicken and dairy producers have all felt this, and now the hog producers are. And I just want you to know that it's very difficult. This president and administration are to be held accountable for this. And also the defense, putting military bases in Montana from Qatar or whatever country it is.
Idaho.
Who has ever heard of such a thing?
Yeah.
And anyway, getting back to the family farm, there's no more important and reliable safe food supply than through the family farm. And if we want to go down the whenever we want, it seems like our answer to cheap food is either to import it or to corporatize it. And that's the exact same opposite thing that we should be doing. We should be focusing on family farms and smaller, more efficient units of production, and everything from erosion control to beneficial practices throughout. And certainly the rubber's going to meet the road when they go into the bankers next spring, if they're going to renew their notes or if they'll be out of farming again. And we don't want to see a repeat of the 80s under the Reagan administration when we went from $1,000 land to $300 land and so forth. So we need to keep the family farms and ranches profitable and continuing to produce the safest food in the world.
I agree,
Thank you
Frank.
very much
I
for
agree.
your time.
Don't go away, Frank. I agree. Frank, do you think this is a play for land? Because you just said that they went from $1,000 an acre down to $300.
That's always been on since '67. There has been a program in place to do some of that. And if you study the history of the United States,
yeah,
there's been a program in place. Anyway, what they do, turn that down, Joe. Anyway, what they do, they go ahead and think that if they can keep the public satisfied with cheap food, everything else will be okay. Well, everything else is not okay. We're going to lose our democratic republic if we don't wake up pretty soon. And God help us all. We have the greatest nation in the world, the greatest democracy in the world, and it's now in great danger.
And what do you farm, Frank? What do you raise?
I raise cattle, corn, beans, and wheat down by Scotland, South Dakota.
Okay, and so your beans, are we talking soybeans?
Yes.
Okay, so right now, what are you going to do with your soybeans?
I did not raise any this year. It was all corn, but the people are $9 beans. It's barely break even. Those people that invested to update their machinery, purchase land, and those things are going to have a real struggle as well. And so in one way I'm fortunate, but another way, and then what's the answer? Well, then we subsidize the farmers with bailouts. And if you would give them a fair price, we would not need so much government assistance. That's all that they ask for is a parity price. And throughout our history, we seem to forget that. Just give a decent price to the farmers and everything else. And those that serve agriculture as well, a good return on it, fair return on investment, and everything else will be work out for the better.
Frank, I'm so glad you called in. You added to today's conversation. God bless you and your family. Fourth generation farmer there, folks. South Dakota. Frank checking in. Robert, line 2. Robert, thanks for calling in today, Robert.
Hey, Brandon. I'm going to tell you something. I voted for President Trump 3 times. I'm originally from Baldwin City, Kansas. And at one time, we had close to 65 farms in that area. I worked 4 of them through hay development, cutting hay, baling hay, and delivering hay. We weren't farmers per se, but we had 10 acres and we had a 2-acre garden. And we raised nutria and some cattle and horses. And Dalton is very familiar with my hometown. I'm familiar with his. As a matter of fact, in '84, I was on a quartet that went down and did a weekend smite at his church in Pittsburgh, Kansas.
Yes.
But I'm appalled. I'm really appalled. I don't know what's gotten into President Trump, but it seems like he's given up, and he's on the other side entirely now.
Well, guys, you guys know that I've been walking a fine line here. I told you from the beginning we would try to be calling balls and strikes only, the good and the bad. And I've gotten a lot of people saying, we don't listen to you anymore, you're too negative, Trump. And I'm trying to say I praise him when he does good, and I say so when I'm not happy. But I'm telling you, the audience has caught up with me.
Hello, I'm Brandon House. I want to thank you for all your support at wvwfoundation.com that helps make possible pushing out 24/7 content for free. Without your support, we'd have to put it all behind a paywall. But thanks to you and your support through our foundation, we're able to push it out for free as a broadcast service and broadcast ministry of WVW Foundation. Please consider going there and setting up an automatic monthly contribution, or go there and make an occasional contribution. If you prefer to support us through the mail, you'll find our mailing address there at wvwfoundation.com. You can also call and make your contribution over the phone by calling 901-825-0652. That's 901-825-0652. Again, all these details are available at wvwfoundation.com. Thank you for your support as we try to help people around the world understand the times through the lens of a Christian worldview.
All right, we're going to go back to the phones, but I'm glad that the callers didn't know this, particularly the 29-year-old farmer, Joe, the South Dakota farmer, Frank, fourth generation. I'm glad they didn't know this in advance because it may have made them nervous, maybe not, I don't know. But I just want them to know you are going to be heard by many, many, many hundreds of thousands of people. You already have been, but you're about to be heard by millions. Because the guys in the control room, they're young guys, okay? So they're all in their early 20s. And they're all experiencing these things for the first time in their life. They're all learning, right? They literally are getting on-the-job training, just like I guess the rest of us did when we grew up and watched things happen. And they're very, very passionate about certain topics. Today, they were the ones that told me about this Argentina thing, and they were livid. It's amazing the number of young people that are coming up that get it and that are free market people and America First people. And they were livid. And during that break, and that's the great thing I love about my team, I very rarely have to tell them what to do. They just naturally know what to do. And I heard them in there through my earpiece telling each other, chop these things up, get this on social media, particularly Joe and Frank. I want their clips all over every social media platform we got. I want their names on the screen. I want where they're from, that they're a 29-year-old farmer, that they're a fourth-generation farmer. Logan was telling the team in there what we're going to do. And so I just want you guys to know, some of our clips, they get 1 million views. One clip can do 1 million. This is not uncommon. 200,000, 300,000, some of them 500,000 to 1 million, one clip. So you guys, your message is going to go out. I give you my word. They're already on it. I didn't even have to ask them to do it. They just instinctively knew this has got to get out. Before we go to Robert and John, I want to go back to Patrick. Patrick, what is your history in this and the goal of the globalists to grab land from farmers?
Big time. I grew up on a ranch and a farm, and I farmed for several years myself independently after my mother died and she left me the farm. So I'm intimately friendly with this whole community. My heart bleeds for them. It really does. The destruction of the family farm especially has been happening for 50 years at this point. That's part, I believe, of the original land grab policy that was established by the Trilado Commission in 1973. One of the major platforms that they launched back then was the use of land. They produced a book called that by that name.
What was it called? I want to look it up. What was it called?
The use of land. It was produced by the Rockefeller Brothers Fund. And basically, it changed the nature of land ownership. And I have been convinced for 50 years now that what they started was a massive land grab throughout the world, not just in America, but throughout the world. And it's just not, you can't measure it in terms of, there you go. You can't measure this in terms of the family farms that have been flipped over into other ownership, like corporate ownership, for instance. You have these organizations like conservative, I can't remember the name of it now, but I'll forget the thought for a minute. I'm looking at these pictures.
Well, this is 1973. I mean, I just popped it in here. Yeah. Here it is. 1973, as you say, the Rockefeller Brothers Fund, and you have all these people on there. And give me basically the overview. What was this calling for? I mean, I got the book and then we can go through it, but what were they calling for in 73 through this book?
They called for a rearrangement of property rights. We saw this worked out in 1992 with the Agenda 21 policies. And they talk about things like, well, you really don't have, nobody should have the right to the land to do anything they wanted to do. So they will specify your rights that'll be shifted away from you, maybe the right to develop the land in a certain way or farm certain things, et cetera. And this is basically where this whole thing started, this attack on property rights. It's been legendary ever since. And I think anybody that looked at what's happened with property, doesn't matter if it's farms, ranches, or even homes and stuff in the cities, you see this full court press to twist property out of its owner's hand.
Indeed. Hold right there, Patrick.
Something else.
Absolutely. Wow. Folks, we're going to have to get into what Patrick mentioned here, this book. I'm going to be getting it, printing it off, reading it. We're going to do a show on it with Patrick. This is why it's great to have broadcast partners like Patrick who go back into his mind there and can recall this stuff. Amazing. Bruce, excuse me, I'm sorry, Robert. Am I on Robert now? Line 2, Robert? Line 2? Or did I already have that, Robert? I'm on John now. John, line 3. Hi, John. Thank you for calling in, John. Hi, John.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Hey, I'm a farmer in Wisconsin. I'm 41 years old, and I run an equipment repair shop. And for the first time in years, my best farming customers are getting behind on their bills.
Oh, boy.
That's how hard it is out here.
And by the way, John, is a lot of your repair equipment coming from China? I just saw a guy that repairs John Deere's showing that the chain said China stamped on it and the price of the product had gone up with the tariffs.
Yes. Basically, all the parts that's available is foreign. We hardly make anything here in the United States.
And President Trump wants to bring manufacturing jobs here. And right now reported last night, 500,000 manufacturing job slots open. The CEO of Ford says we've got thousands of our bays across the country not filled with mechanics. We have 500,000 plus slots open for workers. So you want to bring manufacturing here with tariffs and try to get them to come here and open their plants. Well, where are the workers going to come from? Right, John?
AI. That's all it's going to come to.
So are some of these farmers who have been your best customers, are they going to make it, John?
They'll make it, but unfortunately some won't. And it's breaking shops like mine down too.
So in other words, you may go out of business over this.
I lose money because, I can be $100,000 in debt when guys don't pay me pretty quick. So,
all right, guys, pray for John. Pray for all these folks. This is not a one-off. We're going to keep covering this, folks. Stay tuned for Crosstalk with Jim Schneider. Take care.
This has been...
All right, we're back with, we had a beef producer that was on, Matthew, line 4, but he's on the VCY side. And Patrick, what was President Trump thinking when he decided to do the tariff thing? Initially it's like, oh, we're going to do the tariffs and maybe get rid of the IRS and that'll be the way we fund our government. And that's, of course, how we did it for so long. And so I understand the positive side of it. I was like, hey, let's get rid of the IRS. But my concern was that we were not going to get rid of the IRS, that they would keep both and basically have inflation on the products coming in. And that's a hidden tax. And so that's what it seems to have turned out to be. Now, he's a businessman, but that doesn't mean he's an expert on everything. I'm not an expert on everything. You're not an expert on everything. None of us are. Does he realize that he was given bad information? Has he been led down this road by his new globalist friends, Zuckerberg and Palantir and Peter Thiel and all these guys? Has he been led down the primrose path and now his policies are destroying the very people that voted for him? And I guess when you ask him about it, instead of saying, here's my answer to that, he gets angry with the reporter, young lady, and starts lecturing her. I'm thinking, whoa, why is he so defensive? Is he waking up and realizing he was led down a path, but he doesn't have the humility to say, I made a mistake, I got bad advisors?
I can't figure that, honestly. I just, you can speculate all you want, but at this point, he's obviously complicit with it. He could turn it around any time. He's choosing not to do it. And go figure, the title of my book, my new book that's going to come out, and hopefully in a couple of weeks, I'm giving a preview of the title. Okay,
I can tell by the facial expression you just made that we should all buckle up for the title. What is it?
Well, the final betrayal.
Oh wow!
And I'm very disturbed to write this book. I have a co-author writing with me, but this may be the final betrayal for America.
Do you know
the agricultural piece of this is just part of it, not the whole thing.
That's right. I don't know if the audience remembers, and we can bring it up. By the way, our extremely powerful servers. We have built so many servers in the last 12 months, isolated, quarantined, and I just got a briefing yesterday. And it's going to be soon, folks, that I get to try it out for the first time and then open it up for our Vault members. But I will be able to actually put in there and say, when did Brannon say that President Trump could go down in history as one of the most unpopular presidents? Now, that's not what I want, folks. That's not what I want. But I said it several months ago. I said it, well, I shouldn't say several months. He's been in office, 9 months, 10 months? But I said it a few months ago. I said, if he continues on this path, he could go down as one of the most unpopular presidents in American history. Some of my own friends said, no, they'll find someone else to blame. And I'm like, I'm not so sure. I don't think the American people, certainly some of the core people like we heard from today, they're not about to blame it on someone else. You just heard a guy say, I feel like Obama's back in the White House. Is he going to go down as one of the most unpopular presidents if he continues this way? Which, by the way, he put out a tweet yesterday bragging about the ballroom. There are pictures now of tearing down the east wing, which is where I think Eisenhower built that. And they're tearing this thing down. They've raised all this private money for it. I'm thinking, well, why do we need that? A ballroom that Americans will never visit. They will never get invited to. They don't want to hear about your ballroom. Okay, you're so tone deaf right now. If you want to raise money, why don't you do a farm aid and raise money for the American farmer or raise money for somebody else with all your money? But why are you building a ballroom and why are you talking about it now? And of course, you don't need to raise any money from the farmer, as I think it was Frank who said, we just want a fair shake with a fair profit margin. Is he oblivious to the fact that this is falling on a horrible time to be showing you tearing down the East Wing to build a ballroom?
Tone deaf. You're right.
Is he going to go down as a very unpopular president, you think?
I said it in the beginning.
You did?
Just like you. I didn't consult with you either.
No, you didn't.
But I said it. And this may be the last president that we have at this point.
Why?
This is how serious it is.
Why?
Because the technocrats are taking over Washington, D.C., lock, stock, and barrel at this point. This is very disturbing.
Why did they stop Doge? Wasn't Doge finding a bunch of junk? Why did they stop Elon?
Well, they didn't stop him. That was part of the point. Doge has continued to do its dirty work ever since. Which,
of course, is compiling all that information and that data, and then I'm guessing turning it all over to Palantir to create a file on every American, right?
That's exactly right. Yep, that's it.
If this guy was Barack Obama, you know what they'd all be calling him, right? A potential what? Antichrist.
Destroyer.
Or
exactly.
Potentially the Antichrist, right?
Yeah.
I don't think he is the Antichrist. I don't think he is.
No, I don't either.
But it's amazing the silence. But this one today, something just flipped in the social media realm. Something just flipped, and you just heard it from America's farmers. We're going to have Patrick Wood back on this. Stay tuned, folks. Take care.